What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Locked On Sharks, the premier hockey podcast covering your favorite team in the Bay Area. And we listened once again to what the people wanted. And we're giving them the William Eklund Power Hour. Well, it's not going to be an hour, Power Half Hour. But his season is over in Djurgårdens, so what better time to bring on our friend Mikael Holm, lifelong Djurgården fan, lifelong William Eklund fan, Swedish scout extraordinaire. And we're going to break it down, and we're going to add some context to his season because I think there's a lot of uncontextualized takes going around about what William Eklund did over in Sweden. And I can tell you right now, me, JD, the other random people on Twitter, they're not watching Swedish games. So that's why we're bringing Mikael in, who is watching Swedish games and can tell us. So Mikael is here, and it's all William Eklund all the time today. E5, baby.
You're Locked On Sharks, your daily podcast on the San Jose Sharks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Mikael, thanks for getting up early.
No worries.
it's hard when you live on the West Coast and then you're in Sweden. It's not the easiest.
Yeah, it's 10 p.m. for us and 7 a.m. for you.
That is correct. Yeah, it's a winter morning in April in Sweden, which is always fun. So
God,
it's gonna be like 95 degrees Fahrenheit here by the end of the week. So
for Mikael and I, who use proper temperature, that's like, I don't know, 30.
Yeah,
it's pretty warm. Yeah, it's pretty warm.
Yeah, it's.
Speaking of warm, hot takes flying around. William Eklund had a bad year. He's not very good anymore.
He's the worst player.
Not the savior. I've seen all of these things. I'm not making this up. People are just like, wow, he's not very good.
Mikael, he only scored one goal in the regular season, one goal in their playoffs or whatever you want to call it, like their elimination. William Eklund, the worst player the Sharks have ever drafted. Mikael, how do you respond to these charges?
It's unfortunate to say it's true. No, it's not. It's of course that's a stupid take. That's a dumb take. William Eklund still the player you drafted. He had a rough season, but he was cut in a very rough fashion by the Sharks in the middle of the season.
For the record, we have it that we know that he was not given a heads up for his cutting. And was kind of just told, you're done. You're going back to Sweden for the year, and then was on a plane basically 2 days later. So that's where the rough portion comes in.
Yeah, yeah. And he went back to a team that was dead last, and I think they had probably lost like 7-8 games in a row when he came back, and it wasn't looking very good. Then he got away for the World Juniors. He performed really well there. He was very good there. And I think then you're going to get a COVID break just after the World Juniors where they didn't play for a month almost. And Eklund came back and he was starting to play as a center. They're starting to look kind of good. I think with Eklund, he was playing as a center a lot during the second half of the season. And while the team performed well when he was playing center, he is in the center. He is in the center. And I know that Doug Wilson Jr. talked about how they see him as a center, and they hoped him as a center in the future, and possibly he is a center in the future. But the way he plays the game is not as a center. He is a winger, and he should always be as a winger. And I think he's much better paired with a center. And you just signed a center for him to play with for the rest of like at least 8 years with Tomas Hertl. He would have fit really well on his wing for the start of his career, and I think I wouldn't be too worried as a Sharks fan. Yeah, he didn't perform in the points, but still he played on a really bad team, unfortunately for me, and it was it was just a bad situation all around, and Djurgården was a chaotic organization this season as well. A lot of new players. I think from when he came in, there was like 8 new players in the team. After he came in during the season, there came eight more new players. So it's it's just a weird situation for all around for him. I think playing as a center, as I said, isn't the way to go with him. So yeah, it's.
Do you think the lack of talent, for lack of a better word, affected his game? Because he's obviously a facilitator, playmaker. When he's making passes, we saw it in San Jose. He would set up Nick Bonino, and Nick Bonino couldn't tap in goals on the back door. Do you think that the overall talent level of Djurgården really hampered his development or skill?
I think the talent level of the Djurgården team was pretty high. Like they could have been, like, if they had proper preseason and proper management and all that, like a bunch of things should have been proper, then they could have been a playoff team. But a bunch of things weren't proper. So I think it's some part of that is true, that his teammates didn't finish his chances. He didn't finish his chances either. He had like I want to call it unlucky, because like he had a lot of good chances where like the goalie saved it and it bounced on the goal line and then it was off the post or whatever. So like he had a bunch of bad luck as well during the season to not be scoring on his own. So I think some part is true that he didn't have the teammates to finish off the chances, but some part is also just the team didn't work properly. Like it didn't function properly. But yeah, so that's probably it.
I mean, we saw that with the Sharks too, where like he would make, an amazing, I can remember one where he had, kind of like on a mini breakaway, makes an amazing deke and just like, beats the goalie clean, and just like the puck just, but like if it's a half an inch higher, it's a goal or something like that, and it's just, that's happened. He's also 19 years old. Like he's going to kind of figure that stuff out too. So, when you talk about like Djurgården and like how kind of troublesome and chaotic there was, like what happened with them? I know you said like their coach got fired, like their general manager got fired. Was it just like how kind of troublesome was the organization to start the season, and especially like when Eklund got there?
It was troublesome already last year a little bit, because during the first half of tournament, so the second part of last season, Djurgården didn't win a lot of games. I think they won maybe like 3 or 4 during the entire second half of the season. They still made the playoffs because they had a really good start to the season. So it started already there, and the general manager didn't really. He didn't really take care of the team as proper as he should have. He took a bet on he didn't re-sign the coach that was there for 5 years, who brought them to the championship finals and stuff like that. He then signed a coach that is Barry Smith, who was famous to being the assistant coach to Scotty Bowman, so you can try to figure out how old that guy is. and no shade on Barry. He was a development coach for Chicago for a long time, and he was Scotty Bowman's assistant coach when he won in Pittsburgh and in Detroit. But still, he didn't come in with like an exude confidence, and he also came in like after 2 months into the preseason almost. Like he was signed before the season, but he didn't come to Sweden until like July, and the season starts in September. So like, it was like the setup for the season was just like, yeah, this is gonna go to hell. And then just before the season started, like the last preseason tournament, Jacob Josephson, or the center, got injured, and he's the captain of Djurgården. He is the centerpiece that makes everything work. He's probably, when he's healthy, which is like never almost, he is the best player in the league, at least in my opinion, because he's just so good both ways. And yeah, they didn't have him, and that just sent the team into chaos. And then Marcus Sørensen came in just before the season started. He didn't have a proper preseason, and then just adding players that didn't have a proper preseason, like Peter Holland and a bunch of other players. And then they just sent them away because they didn't have a proper preseason, so they couldn't perform. And then they just in and out with players, and William Eklund comes in, and gets this role that he's going to be this big savior as a 19-year-old kid, where maybe that role isn't fit for him at this moment of his career.
Mhm.
And I think there was just a lot of pressure on him to be a savior both from fans, but fans were a little bit more like laid back in their hope, but at least from management, they was like, yeah, this is how we're gonna turn around our season. And it didn't happen immediately, and then general manager get fired, and the team, or Barry left after like 12 games. Barry Smith.
Good.
Yeah,
that's always good.
So then we had our assistant managers as a coaching thing. I don't know what to call it. So they were both the coaches, and that was all the coaches we had for a long time. And then
what a season!
This sounds like it was when the Sharks fired Pete DeBoer, and it was like they had no coaches on. They're just pulling people to
Yeah, so it was just like a very crazy season, and then all of a sudden in January they started to play good. Like in 2022, Djurgården was like, when it was just like 10 games left of the season, Djurgården was the best team in the SHL during 2022. All of a sudden, and gave hope that maybe they could just survive without without the relegation playoff, and they didn't. They missed that because they started losing the last 5 games or something. And finished off the season, I think, with 8 straight losses. So it was
tough.
It's a tough season.
Yeah. The only silver lining is that if you love to gamble, you could probably just bet against Djurgårdens and make a pile of money. And the good place to do that is betonline.net, because it's your number one source for all your betting needs and sports info. Not only can you probably bet on SHL, but the Masters is this week. You can. The Masters is this week. I bet on Cam Smith. Threw a little money down on the Aussie. He's probably going to be rocking a disgusting mullet, which is sweet. But you can also find all the odds, podcasts, except for this one, and reviews for all the different leagues this season. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sporting wagering information, including live betting, which is pretty cool, esports, and scores. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. BetOnline, where the game starts. Okay, so it's been a lot of negative stuff to start here. Obviously, there was some positives. What was he doing well in Sweden? We all saw the highlight reels where he's skating out of the zone and just decides to backhand aerial pass it to somebody. That was pretty sweet. But like, what was he doing well, and where does his development gone?
He was just doing the same old things that he's always done well, which is carry the puck into the offensive zone with ease. And he just along the boards, he's just a madman, because he can just turn around and turn off a defense very easily. He was just doing the same things that he was always been doing, trying to create chances for his teammates, just turning and weaving and trying to find opportunities. I think also it might be, I really don't like the players got to know him last year, so now they know his play style. But I think there was a little bit more focus on him, stopping him when teams faced Djurgården as well. And that's something that's good for him. I think overall it was good for him this season is that he has gotten to feel what it feels to be when everything goes against you and your team, and where you have to be sort of a leader at the young age, and sort of the play driver as a young age. So I think he's learned a lot from this season at least, and I think he's still the same player that he was last year, and he has definitely developed. He looks a little bit stronger and all of that stuff. So I just think he's ready for the NHL next season, without a doubt.
There's no chance he's going back to the SHL next year, right?
Yeah, no.
Well, it's not the SHL. It's
NHL.
I guess it'd be Allsvenskan. Yeah, there's no chance he's going back, right? Like he's
no.
NHL forever now.
No. Yeah, NHL forever now.
We love it. So yes. So you talked about like how you feel like he's still developing, and like how this might be kind of good for him to kind of deal with this adversity, because I mean we know all development, it's not just like a straight like line, like, hey, you're gonna start here and you're gonna end here by the end of the year. And like, How do you think this will help, him, especially with like that mental toughness? I hate that term, like mental toughness and stuff, but like that, it's such a hockey man thing. But like, dealing with like this pressure and, like where things haven't gone right for him, how do you think he's going to kind of deal with that and kind of use that going forward?
I think he can always think it can always be worse when something bad goes. But
Yeah.
no, I think it's just gonna make him a little bit more of a serious hockey dude. Just like at a young age, you're always like happy and it's fun to play hockey and stuff like that. And then you face adversity and you be like, okay, I don't want to feel this ever again. So I'm just gonna go ahead and just play it a little bit different and just be a little bit more laser focused, a little bit more. So I think it's a little switch in the mentality, but it's a good switch that he's just like, okay, I'm gonna have to really take care of this to not make sure I'm not gonna feel this ever again. So I think it's gonna be good for him. I think a little bit of adversity and a little bit of a bad season for his team and for him a little bit, then I think it's gonna be good.
Is there anything he still needs to work on that he didn't develop on this season?
Scoring.
I mean, scoring, I guess. But like, he has a good shot, and like last year he scored 11 goals in his draft year. So I think it's I think he just need to just grind it out and just get over the slump. He scored now in the against Timrå and in the relegation finals, and it just need to get over the hump. It's just a mental thing. When you don't score for a long time, he scored in preseason with you guys, and then but like, does that count? I don't know.
Yeah.
And before that, he scored like in last April, so it's just like 9 months or 10
year.
months.
Yeah,
it was like 9-10 months of like not scoring at all, and that can be a little bit of a tough time for your game and your mentals when you go into a game. That you're like, oh, I haven't scored in 10 months, and how am I supposed to score now? And when you get to those chances, then it affects you. But now he got a few goals, or got 2 goals in, so I'm cautiously positive about his scoring.
Cautious. Cautiously optimistic. There we go.
Exactly. That's it.
So before we finish up, we got to take a quick break and talk about our friends over at rockauto.com. We've all been there, having to buy new parts for your car. You go to the chain store and you're like, I need a part for my car. And they're like, what type of car you have? And you're like, it's a Honda. And then they, you kind of tell them all the information you don't know, but they make you feel stupid about it because you don't know what type of car trim you have, et cetera, et cetera. And then they only have a certain number of parts in there. You don't have to deal with that. You just go to rockauto.com on your home, or use the phone in your pocket. Go onto their website. You save time and money when using rockauto.com. So why choose to spend 30, 50, even 100% more for the same parts from a chain store or a car dealership? For example, a Honda Odyssey fuel pump, $353 from a chain store, $216 from Rock Auto. Rock Auto is a family business serving do-it-yourselfers for over 20 years. Kyle famously likes to do it himself. So head over to rockauto.com, where they have everything you need, including brake parts, tail lamps, motor oil, even new carpet. And when you check out, go to their How Did You Hear About Us box and write Locked On. That way they know that we sent you. Amazing selection, reliable low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. rockauto.com.
Was him going back to Sweden the right move?
No.
Yeah.
In hindsight, he should have never gone, and probably already when he was sent back, you thought he should have never been sent back. I understand why they did it with all the cap,
which is the
cap
dumbest.
Managing and stuff like that. But
money is fake. They just need to get over it.
Yeah.
But so it wasn't the right decision. I think it was bad for San Jose, and I think it was bad for William Eklund in the long run. But I hope or I think he's going to turn it around positively. But I think just looking back in hindsight, it wasn't the right move. He should have probably gone to the AHL and been in San Jose and been around the team and maybe been up and down a little bit. But yeah, I don't think it was the right move.
Do you think it took a toll on him mentally? Because we know that he wasn't pleased going back. Do you think that was a big hurdle for him?
Yeah, definitely. And just like going back, don't want to go back and was like happy in the NHL. And of course you're happy in the NHL and that's your dream. But like going back and then you have to go back to your childhood team that is just like
a hot
big
mess.
Tire fire. Yeah, it's the Simpsons tire fire. You can't be put out, you know. And it's just a big mess. And then he has to like go through playing his childhood team down a division where they don't belong, honestly. And it's just like, it's a tough thing for him mentally, but I think he's strong enough to come back from that. I think he's going to come back a real menace next year in the NHL.
We love to hear that. Put it your situation. Say you go off to college and then all of a sudden they're like, hey, you didn't pass your SATs or something like that. You got to go back to high school or something like that. It's like, that sounds terrible. Like, wouldn't you be, you've just
but you pass your SAT and you're pretty good in college, and then the college is like, well, we can't afford to have you.
Yeah, we can't.
I think that's the thing is that why not just have him play on a bad San Jose team rather than a bad Djurgården team?
Yeah, it's like you could have partnered him with Tomas Hertl and been like, here, you stay next to Hertl for the next year, for the rest of the season, and you're going to learn from life. Yeah, the rest of your life. So until the Hertl contract expires and the sun explodes. But like, yeah, it's like if you want him to develop, I think putting him with good players, because that's how he develops, right? Is putting him with these good players who fit complementary skills, and like a line of Eklund, Hertl, and Meyer sounds amazing because all those guys fit really well and their skills complement each other. And it seems like, like he just didn't get that out there.
Yeah, it's going to be like playing with them. It's going to be a bunch of free points and probably free goals as well. You're going to get your goals and you're going to get your points. You're going to have your confidence up and you're going to have a little nice time. But yeah, it's been a tough go for him this season. But I'm sure he's going to come back stronger from it. And it sounds like a bunch of negativity, but he's still the player that San Jose drafted. I've said it before, and I need to just reiterate that he is still the same player, and he's going to be insanely good. Like, he's supremely talented. It's just he played on a bad team, and when you play on a bad team in Sweden, it's a little bit worse than playing on a bad team in the NHL, because in Sweden you have to fight for your life or for the life of the team. So
I think that's important to just keep reiterating that he's still William Eklund and he's still the player they drafted. It's not like he went back and is like, oh, this is a completely different player now. I think that's really important because I think people see the point totals and Djurgården gets relegated and they put this narrative all together that, oh, he couldn't save a team when he's a 19-year-old. And I just think it's important to say it over and over again that he's still the guy. He's still still William Eklund. Would you just put him on Hertl's wing next year and be like, go free, young William?
Yeah, I think Hertl's a perfect player for him because Hertl is, of course, supremely talented offensively, but he can also take the little bit of defensive side of things. And William Eklund needs the kind of guy that goes two ways and a little bit more responsible defensively, so he can just expand all of his tools and use them all over the offensive zone. So he doesn't really need to focus on just like all the defense that as a center you have to focus on. And I think that's also an important point to say that I think when he went through World Juniors, he had 9 points in 14 games. And those were all assists, 9 assists. And then when he came back, it was a COVID break for Djurgården, and then he came back and he played as a center in the SHL. And he is in a center, as I said before. And then he didn't score as much points anymore because he played as a center. Yeah. So, and that's a pretty easy way to go about it. And he also didn't even play on the first power play for Djurgården. He was on the second power play unit. Because the first power play unit worked well without him. So they just scored a lot. Like, it was a very strong power play for a while there, and that's why he didn't play there. But yeah, he should have been on the first power play unit. And that's also a big reason. He didn't play that much power play. So
yeah. Did he play penalty kill at all?
I don't think so, no. I didn't see him as a penalty kill.
Fine.
That's fine. He's 19.
Yeah, that's fine. He's above that anyway. How would you feel about William Eklund, Tomas Hertl, Timo Meier line? Do you think Meier would hinder his development or help him on the other side?
I feel like Meier would help, wouldn't he? He's more of a goal scorer. Yeah, he's more of a goal scorer. And
man, Eklund.
We love Timo, so don't worry.
I'm
just thinking Eklund slinging passes across the slot to Timo on the dot there. Just love to see that. So.
The thing is with Eklund is he's going to work with a lot of players that you can play with, so he can move up and down the lineup, especially in his first real season. He can put him with Hertl and Meier. That's a perfect combo, I think, for him. He has a little bit more defensive responsibility center who is also extremely talented offensively in Hertl, and then you have Timo Meier, who's a goal scorer and just like find space and to shoot and stuff like that. So you just have William Eklund go around in the corners and turn away the defenders, and then just send a pass to either one of them. It's going to be fine. It's going to be good.
I think that's the biggest takeaway, right? Is he's going to be fine. Like, I think everything, going back, having to play a new position, everything just kind of worked against him, and so stuff like that. Quick couple things really quick before we get out of here. I know he's playing with Lekkerimäki a lot, and then what happened? Lekkerimäki just got sent back down to the juniors. Is that kind of what happened there?
No, Lekkerimäki, I think he got sick with the mono. I'm not completely sure. I haven't seen it confirmed, but that's but that's what I've seen. So I think that's what happened. He was at least sick during the last 10 games or so.
Because those two guys, they have legit chemistry, and
they worked out pretty well. And Lekkerimäki was the reason why Djurgårdens power play worked really well, the first power play, because he's a very good power play player. So that would be a fun combo for San Jose, possibly.
Yeah. And then really quick, whispers, rumors, potentially Dahlin maybe going back to, especially with Timo going to be in the SHL again next year. If he doesn't get the contract, is that a potential possibility?
It is a possibility. I think he will stay. I'm not sure if he's going to stay with the Sharks. It depends on what they are offering him. He's signed on a one-way deal, so he's going to want a one-way deal again. Yeah, he probably want a little raise.
I mean, the Sharks. He is an RFA, so the Sharks do own his rights, no matter what. But if I could see him, if he's just doesn't get the deal he wants, he's just I could just go be a king in Timrå and destroy people there. So
and Timrå now when they're staying up in the SHL, they're really loading up with all their old good players that they had out in Europe that were playing in the KHL and in Switzerland and stuff like that. So they're shaping up to be a good team next year. So if you want to go back to Timrå and be a king, I understand him, because his tenure in North America hasn't been the best. He was really good during the start of the season and during the fall, but he had a little bit of a rougher go with the injuries and stuff like that since then. But if he wants to go back, I understand him, because it's his childhood team, and that's important. Some people in Sweden dream about playing for their childhood, their local childhood team, rather than playing in the NHL. And he might be one of them, and just be comfortable at home in Sweden, because it's probably kind of nice for him to live in Sweden, just be comfortable.
No faults there. It's been a rough go the last few weeks. Last thing, do you still think William Eklund is going to be a line one guy?
Yeah, 100%.
Cool. What do you got going on, Mikael? Tell the people where they can find you, what you got, what they can do.
Probably some coffee here in a minute.
I'm going back to bed. Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Mikael Holm, and from there you can find most of my stuff, Smaht Scouting and my Substack. So yeah, that's about what I have going on right now. Gonna see if I might update the Substack soon. I don't know. I've said that a lot of times and I haven't done it, but I hope I will do it soon.
I think you said it last time you were on the show.
Yeah, and then I didn't.
So it's coming.
It's all right.
Yeah.
If you want to find us, you can do that. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Locked On Sharks. Email, lockedonsharks@gmail.com. YouTube, Locked On Sharks. Locked On Sharks on Spotify, Amazon, Apple. Mikael is at Carl Mikael Holm, CarlMikaelHolm. Spell them all Swedish. You'll be on the right track.
Yes.
JD is at My Fry Hole.
Kyle's at Kyle Demetrius. Thank you for making us your first San Jose Sharks listen. Go check out the Locked On Fantasy Hockey podcast. Go check out the Locked On NHL Now podcast. You want to get a nice little taste of what happened around the NHL the night before. Go check out one of the other amazing podcasts on the Locked On Network, such as
Locked On Phillies. What's a Philly? Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
Philly
Bye,
cheesesteak,
friends.
though. Good. Thanks.
My mom
Thanks, Mikael.
My mom got a cat
thanks for having
named
me, guys.
Philly. Anyway.
God, I'm trying to say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Tobias. Sorry.
Bye, Mikael. Thank you.